Hi guys, welcome back to Adriana Reads. Today I'm going to be reading Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. Sorry my voice sounds a little deeper than usual. It's just that my throat is kind of sore. So I'm going to be reading What Do You Come For? There was an old lady who lived all by herself, and she was very lonely. Sitting in the kitchen one night, she said, "Oh, I wish I had some company." No sooner had she spoken than down the chimney tumbled 2 feet from which the flesh had rotted. The old woman's eyes bulged with terror. Then 2 legs dropped to the hearth and attached themselves to the feet. Then a body tumbled down, then 2 arms and a man's head. As the old woman watched, the parts came together into a great, gangling man. The man danced around and around the room. Faster and faster he went. Then he stopped, and he looked into her eyes. "What do you come for?" she asked in a small voice that shivered and shook. "What do I come for?" he said. "I come for you!" Now I'm going to be reading A Man Who Lived in the Woods. Some say this rhyme doesn't mean anything. Others are not so sure. So this is a rhyme, guys. There was a man who lived in Leeds. He filled his garden full of seeds. And when the seeds began to grow, it was like a garden filled with snow. But when the snow began to melt, it was like a ship without a belt. And when the ship began to sail, it was like a bird without a tail. And when the bird began to fly, it was like an eagle in the sky. And when the sky began to roar, it was like a lion in my door. And when the door began to crack, it was like a penknife in my back. And when my back began to bleed, I was dead indeed! That's what the story told me to do. Okay, I'm going to read one more story because these are really short. Old Woman, All Skin and Bone. There was an old woman, all skin and bone, who lived near the graveyard all alone. Ooh, 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 ooh. She thought she'd go to church one day to hear the person preach and pray. Ooh, 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 ooh. And when she came to the church house stile, she thought she'd stop and rest a while. Ooh, 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 ooh. And when she came up to the door, she thought she'd stop and rest some more. But when she turned and looked around, she saw a corpse upon the ground. Ooh, 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 ooh. From its nose down to its chin, the worms crawled out and the worms crawled in. Ooh, 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 ooh. The woman to the preacher said, "Shall I look like what I'm dead?" Ooh, 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 ooh. The preacher to the woman said, "You'll look like that when you're dead." Ah! I don't know. It just keeps telling me to now scream, ah! So it's not me, it's the story that's telling me to scare you guys. Maybe I'll read... I have to find another short one. We'll find another short one and then I'll read. Okay, I'll read this one. The hearse song. The hearse song? Don't you ever laugh as the hearse goes by, for you may be the next to die. They wrap you up in a big white sheet from your head down to your feet. They put you in a black box and cover you up with dirt and rocks. All goes well for about a week, then your coffin begins to leak. The worms crawl in, the worms crawl out, the worms play pinochle on your snout. They eat your eyes, they eat your nose, they eat the jelly between your toes. A big green worm with rolling eyes crawls in your stomach and out your eyes. Your stomach turns a slimy green, and then pus pours out like whipping cream. You spread it on a slice of bread, and that's what you eat when you're dead. I think I'm gonna read one last one because they're really short. The Girl Who Stood on a Grave. They also come with a song, but I don't know if it's like for piano. Probably, I'm not even sure. Some boys and some girls. Oh, let me just tell you what the story is called. The Girl Who Stood on a Grave. Some boys and girls were at a party one night. There was a graveyard down the street, and they were talking about how scary it was. Don't ever stand on a graveyard after dark, one of the boys said. The person inside will grab you. He'll pull you under. That's not true, one of the girls said. It's just a superstition. A grave doesn't scare me, said the girl. I'll do it right now. The boy handed her his knife. Stick this knife in one of those graves, he said. Then we'll know you were there. The graveyard was filled with shadows and was as quiet as death. There's nothing to be scared of, the girl told herself. But she was scared anyways. She picked out a grave and stood on it. Then quickly she bent over and plunged the knife into the soil. And she started to leave, but she couldn't get away. Something was holding her back. She tried a second time to leave, but she couldn't move. She was filled with terror. Something got me, she screamed, and she fell to the ground. When she didn't come back, the others went to look for her. They found her body sprawled across the grave. Without realizing it, she had plunged a knife through her skirt and she pinned it to the ground. It was only the knife that held her. She had died of fright. And here's the picture. It's kind of scary. I thought it was like something that had grabbed her from the back, but I guess it was herself or something had put it there so it didn't look real. Okay guys, I hope you enjoyed the stories that I read. I might be reading some more on Monday, I believe, or tomorrow. We'll see. Have a good day, guys. Hope you enjoyed the story. I'm linking my socials down here. Bye.